In this episode of Madonna Songbook Podcast, I analyze further songs from the album Confessions II. Madonna has released a new album, reaching #1 all over the world. The songs that the fans have been showing to appreciate the most in the whole album are School and One Step Away. I will take a deep dive in these two songs, describing their sound, the lyrics, analyzing the meanings, discovering about the people who worked on them, and then we have a deep dive on Fragile, a beautiful, touching song dedicated to the death of Christopher Ciccone, Madonna's brother, and I think a great opportunity to also remember William Orbit, Madonna's music partner from Ray of Light Music and MDNA, who sadly recently passed away. Come here and find out all the details on these songs and more. Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Madonna Songbook, the podcast about Madonna's music, her great songwriting, and producing talent. I'm your host, Giulio Mazzoleni. If you're into Madonna's new album and want to spend the next half hour or so examining her music in depth, this podcast is for you. No gossip, no celebrity chatter, just music. And if you have something to share, please do leave a comment. I love hearing from Madonna fans all over the world. And if you're watching on YouTube and English is not ideal for you, you can turn on the subtitles in other languages by clicking on the CC icon in the lower right side of the screen. One more thing, if you like this podcast, you can subscribe to it so YouTube will let you know when the next episode comes out. Now, let's start today's episode. Without further ado, let's take a new journey into Madonna's songbook. School is in session. Let the music take control. Following up with the previous episodes where I tried to analyze new songs like I Feel So Free, Bring Your Love, Danceterial, Betrayal, Love Sensation, today I would like to keep diving into Madonna's summer sensation, the new album Confessions II. Recently, I ran 2 fan polls on my Instagram page, Madonna Songbook, and on both occasions, hundreds of fans voted One Step Away and School as their favorites. So I thought you'd appreciate an analysis of these 2 songs. Plus, I picked another fan favorite, Fragile. I have to say, it's not easy to dive into songs so recently released. We're in a world of rushed information. I much prefer a delayed gratification, the one coming from observing things as the storm calms down, doing research with time, even casually finding out key details. That happened with my book, Madonna Songbook, analyzing all of Madonna's songs one by one, but I had years, decades to conjure up that whole book. By the way, for those interested, the publishers let me know that the stock is almost finished, but a few copies are still available. So if you still want it, check the link in bio on the Instagram account. And thank you very much. The account is Madonna Songbook, or you can find the same here below in the description of this podcast. Now, the great news about the album is that it's entered the charts at #1 in so many countries. It's much easier to tell you where it's not a #1. It didn't enter #1 in Germany, Ireland, Sweden, and New Zealand, but it was quite a prestigious #2 for them. There's a couple of countries, I think Czechia and Slovakia, which were mid-lower top 10, and there's a glorious #12 in Japan, because you may not know, the sales chart in that country have always been focused on national music more than international, so that it's quite a big achievement. And the other glorious news is the duet of Madonna with Kylie Minogue. It's been so long anticipated. And to be honest, let me say, I think it came from fan pressure. If you think of when the album was announced, there was a couple of fake track lists that were definitely fake. They included a duet with Kylie Minogue. And so the rumors started spreading to the point that this is not factual, I have to admit it. It's just my opinion. It's my consideration that Madonna and her camp, or Kylie Minogue's camp, realized that there was such a request that it was a good idea. And although the album was finished, they came up with a collaboration, which is why Kylie was on the Graham Norton show, but wouldn't say that she's on the album, because eventually She still isn't. Maybe we will get an album edition with the duet they've done. But a couple of weeks ago, with the surprise appearance, Madonna and Kylie presented Love Sensation, the After Hours mix. And it's a collaboration of the two. And it's fantastic. It's beautiful. It's full of energy. It's a great sensation. And as Madonna said in Amsterdam, it's gay heaven. I think it makes happy a wide double or triple generation of Madonna gay fans. And to the delight of collectors, it is being released on CD single in 3 different formats. So again, it's collector's heaven, because if you think of it, the album has been promoted and marketed with great tools and appearances and photos, but also with content like never before. Besides the 18 physical editions, which have little Easter eggs that I presented in the last episode, we also have the Bring Your Love 7-inch, the Love Sensation CD single, and then we have 6 digital editions with very different contents, such as the whole album in instrumental format available on Apple, and then the After Hours edition with the remixes, and then we have the Icon edition with an extra song, Hot Sauce, and then there's the edition with the Live in Times Square. There's a whole lot of things. By the way, if you want to map out everything that has been released physically and digitally, I think the best recap that has ever been done, as always, is on the news fan site, Madonna Tribe. They have presented the whole thing in a beautiful visual and editorial way, and I really suggest you check their website so you can check which edition are missing in your collection, if you want everything, or if you still need to pick what to get. You will see that perfectly presented. Now, with such rich release plan and marketing campaign, one would think there is more to come. But we don't have anything yet. We don't know yet. But the conversations on fan forums and social media are quite right to suppose that there might be new editions of the album. Somebody talk about a remix album. Somebody talk about the 8 songs that Madonna said she left out of the album. They might be finished, unfinished. They may be revisited. Maybe guests, more guests like Kylie Minogue, duets, and so forth. It is correct to think so, because right now in the recording industry, albums are very short-lived, and it's very unfortunate with such fast information that we are thrown into our face and ears every day. Nobody is really listening to an album as a whole. I think the people, like the fans, are really an exception compared to the rest of the market internationally. And therefore, I think that it would be fair of Madonna's and Stuart Price's effort making this album to keep working on the songs that they have, and maybe we will have more surprises and maybe more physical and digital releases. But we don't know. These are just speculations. So let's focus on what we have so far, which is a fantastic album. Let's keep discovering it. Let's start with one of the beautiful songs, School. Now, this one is a song that I really wanted to study and prepare myself. I've taken notes because it's so appreciated by the fans, but it's also one of the strongest, hottest, meanest songs on the album. So thumping, so crazy with its beat, and then there's irony and intellectual poetry as well. There's a lot. It's really rich. It's rich even from the team that made that song. It's not just the Madonna Stuart Price collaboration. They worked with a broad team of young writers. They worked with Lanita Lashonda Smith, Scott Carter, and Mustafa Lebo, with whom they wrote and produced the song, with additional writing help from Matthew Fonson and Jessica Ashley Karpov, who's also known as Arlo. Now, these are all young writers that came together, or we don't know, had already prepared a beat, a track that fell into Madonna's and Stuart Price lap. We don't know, but actually there's one indication, and that's very, very interesting. But let's go through their bios first. Lanita Lashonda Smith is a multi-instrumentalist songwriter specialized in gospel, R&B, and part of a duo called Little Monarch. Their hit is called No Matter What. Scott Carter is 8 times Grammy nominated and has been writing with Ed Sheeran, Kanye West, the biggest. Mustafa Lebo is again a multi-Grammy nominated producer. He is more of a creative director along with songwriter. He works at an intersection of music and fashion. He's done great work with Metro Booming on Spider-Man. Matthew Fonson is known for working with Leona Lewis, and Jessica Ashley Karpov, like I said, goes by the stage name Harlow, is a New York born artist who's worked with Kelly Clarkson, Britney Spears, Charlie XCX, Zayn. And the indication I was mentioning earlier is that this song may have been born out of a writing camp of these people with Madonna that was started by no other than Sia. Yes, some of these writers have expressed their happiness when the song came out, and they all thanked Sia for sparkling the collaboration. So maybe there was a request from Madonna to find new writers, and she called Sia, or maybe they were doing a collaboration together. We don't know, but this is what has emerged so far. Let's see in time if maybe we will find more details. Now the song has this synth pop techno sound that reminds us of Erotica and its remixes, the album and the singles that came out, and take us back even to bedtime stories because of a lyrical quote. Madonna says, "I'm not your mother, I'd rather be your lover." And obviously our minds go to the song "Rather Be Your Lover" from Bedtime Stories, but it's mostly an early 90s referenced musical track with lots of vocal distortions. I have noticed that some of the distortions that turn Madonna's voice so deep that it sounds like a man, a filtered man's voice, were also present in some of the interludes and production of the Celebration tour, which is curated by Stuart Price. There's a very heavy compression. There are a few great synth lines, and everything is driven by that bass line. Not to mention the propulsive kick drum, and then there's layered hi-hats, the shakers, all those little percussive instruments. Listening to the instrumental version, I even heard one of the beats that were used in Spanish lesson from Hard Candy, if you want. There's only one thing I like more than sharing what I know with other people, and that's learning. Please, someone, teach me something I don't already know. Now, this is absolutely great because throughout her career, and especially from the 90s onwards, Madonna has been aware of the importance of her microphone, of her voice, of her platform. And she has taken responsibility of sharing knowledge, of presenting cultural references, ethnical identities, sounds, and concepts and values. And sharing to her is really, really important. But at the same time, learning is key to her being. I think Madonna's curiosity is what keeps her forever young. She keeps asking questions, wanting to know more and more. If you think of the song Easy Ride from American Life, she said, "I want to know everything. Maybe someday I will." And I want to share this little anecdote because I've seen it myself, and we all know it, but I've seen it myself when I presented Madonna with the platinum disc for sales in Italy of MDNA, the album in 2012. I knew I wanted to present something that would hit her attention even for a second. And together with my friend Andrea, I came up with an idea of a platinum disc illustrating the inside of Milan's Cathedral Duomo, which is a Gothic church. Now, she was touring with MDNA, and in the beginning of the show, if you remember, she was referencing the Gothic Cathedral of Sevilla with all these Gothic architectural elements. So we went inside the Duomo, and Andrea shot a picture because he noticed that they were having, in front of a Madonna dedicated altar, they had a huge, how would you say, chandeliers with 7 arms, which is unusual because that's the number of the menorah, which is a very important symbolic element of Jewish culture. And knowing that Madonna studied Kabbalah and knew about these things, we took that picture and then we changed it and filtered it with the same effects of the MDNA album cover, and we put layered Madonna's face in it and presented it with a beautiful frame of dark olive wood. And in the dressing room at the Florence concert, the last one she gave in Italy, we finally got to give the award to her. And when I told her, I want to explain because this and that, and she was in a rush going to the stage, but she really stopped for a second and looked at it and said, wow, menorah in a church. She really got it. And she was interested in that. And she said, where is that again? In Milano. Oh, yeah, I've seen it once. So there's an indication that I touched firsthand of Madonna's constant curiosity for things she doesn't know. But then there's a second side to the song, and that is the fun side. The rest of the lyrics are completely different because rather than learning things, it's more about sharing things she knows, but in an unexpected way. It's a very sensual song. It's with a tongue-in-cheek approach, conversation about teaching a young lover how to be good. And there's a beautiful metaphor of the canvas or portraying someone. And in the blank canvas, and I'll paint my desire. Can you fit my frame? I know you love to be wild. Paint me with your memory and not with your eyes. I'm not colorblind, and I won't compromise. When you have a vision, then I think we can touch. Nobody knows all the rules. You never went to school. Baby, here's a lesson. There's a lot of fun and indication that she's in the bedroom with a lover, and this lover is not so expert, and she's teaching him the moves. Now, I don't want to go into Madonna's private life. Like I said, there's not much gossip here for you actually at all, but it's obvious that Madonna enjoys being with young lovers. She probably enjoys being the one driving the moves. And that's beautiful. I really think there's nothing wrong with that. I could make moves on the dance floor. I could make love on a man's floor. You say that you're a man, but you're not so. Tell me that you love me, but you don't know. The uncertainty, the invitation to keep giving more, that has always been recurrent in Madonna's songs, even back in the days, I don't know, it makes me think of I Know It, or Physical Attraction. She likes saying what she likes and what she wants, even in the bedroom, and there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, we should all say that. It's healthy. But if you want to read the song's lyrics outside of the sexual innuendo, which is always possible, Madonna's songs are always multi-layered. This painting a canvas metaphor can also be seen as an invitation to young people or to people who approach something new to be creative, to find your own identity, to find your own style. And that's, again, learning something beautiful from Madonna. Today on Madonna Songbook Podcast 2, I'm analyzing more and more new songs from Madonna's album Confessions 2. And besides School, one of the most requested songs by the fans is One Step Away, which is also a personal favorite. Now, this one compared to School is much simpler in terms of people working on it. Madonna and Stuart Price. Purely a collaboration of the two, and a fabulous song. I have to say that the structure, again, compared to School, is much, much simpler, but it's not so simple in truth. The great thing of this song is that it's very unusual for Madonna. It doesn't have the verse-chorus structure. I would call it more of a phrase with a crescendo that is long in its first execution, and then there's a brief repetition. And again, unusual for a Madonna song, there are a lot of instrumental parts, which allow us to enjoy the beat and the sounds of it. It's a trance deep house song, and I love the start. It has a fantastic change of key immediately, and it makes me think of a situation where Stuart Price is turning the knobs and changing things, and Madonna says, ready? And a few things change, and then she starts talking, and then it changes again, and then it goes into this arrangement that is rich with strings, percussion, piano, synth pads. It's very rich, and at the same time, it has this down-tempo atmosphere that gives you a soulful feel. Now, Madonna's singing is very high-pitched and quite linear, but at the same time, she references the way of singing of the strong, soulful singer of early 90s house music. I think in this song, there's a heavy reference to the Chicago early 90s deep house style. But I also love that treble percussions coming and going through the song that really puts you on the dance floor for this one. And there's a beautiful reference which a friend helped me find. I think this song has a very long instrumental ending, and that part of the song may have been inspired by a Japanese electronic artist called Mondo Grosso. He's worked with Benny Benassi, Felix the House Cat, Alex Gopher, and on one of his songs called Labyrinth, you can hear pretty much the same atmosphere with house down tempo, the strings, the piano. There's kind of something similar. Who knows if Stuart Price and Madonna were inspired by that one? But the other great thing of this song, again, for a Madonna song, is the content of the lyrics. It starts with the manifesto. We've mentioned it before. Madonna says, people think that dance music is superficial, but they've got it all wrong. The dance floor is not just a place, it's a threshold, a ritualistic space where movement replaces language. It's an explanation, and we all understand it. People who have lived their youth or even their current years or whichever age they are, they've lived their lives through going to the club, have experienced that it's not just about having fun. It's not superficiality. Sometimes there's a cathartic experience on the dance floor, and songs like Good for the Soul and One Step Away, which not coincidentally are connected to I Feel So Free at the beginning of the record. They form a trilogy introducing how serious, how poetic, how sentimental the whole concept of club music is. This song is exactly a celebration of the understanding, of the sharing of intimate emotions once we are on a dance floor. And Madonna says, I understand the violence and the trauma you survived. Nobody's free until they're broken. Understand your silence and the drama deep inside. Nobody's fear is just a token. Even in the shadow, when there's nowhere left to hide, nighttime comes before the dawn. Come and get salvation. All God's children can be saved. We are all waiting for our freedom. There's a sense of liberation. There's a sense of hope. And I think she's quoting either the Bible or the Kabbalah, the Torah, I don't know. But I think one of the quotes that Madonna put in the record in this song is that in the greatest darkness, you find the biggest light. And it's not only connected to the fact when you go to the club is usually very, very dark, but you find light and liberation in it. There's also the fact that in the darkest times of life, metaphorically speaking, the seed of a new light will grow and grow and will start from there. You have to reach rock bottom and not lose hope, because then you can only go up. The final song of Confessions II that I want to talk about today in Madonna Songbook Podcast is Fragile, one of the most touching songs of the album. Again, I've taken up time to study this song and write down notes because I really want to share them with you. It's emotionally and sonically distinct from the rest of the album, and it opens up the final section of the album, the more introspective and poetic part of the record. It's very ethereal, it's downbeat, and what I love about its arrangement is drum and bass with the touch of trip hop and UK garage from the late 90s, early 2000s. I think this song reminds of Ray of Light because it's ethereal, but it has this drum and bass arrangement. So it's either the album or the remixes that were done around these singles from Ray of Light, especially Sasha's. Those were my favorite. I really love drum and bass, especially when it's done in such a poetic way. And Madonna really knows how to do that. There are synth strings and pads built around the vocal that create an icy, thin, ethereal soundscape, and the emotion flows. It's really rich. Madonna sings close to the microphone in probably one of the last post-produced takes. This album is rich in vocal production. We've talked about this. And this one is much cleaner, apparently, and unadorned. And she's very melodic and in a way traditional to a lot of older songs of her career, and going with that kind of childish voice. She even added background vocals by her youngest daughters, Esther and Stella. And this whole thing brings obviously memories of her childhood. Notably, the song is dedicated to the death of her dear brother, Christopher Ciccone. Madonna has said that she had already started working on a track with Stuart Price with the title Fragile. So maybe there are more elements that you can refer to for this song, but she has dedicated the song to her brother. And a lot of people have discussed the fact that Christopher released all-telling biography in 2008 that wasn't really nice to his sister, but as he was revealing, she wasn't nice to him either. They had a big fallout after this. Madonna was hurt. It's no coincidence that Madonna talked about this in the Kabbalah Teachings video that she released about a year ago. It's, I think you cannot judge these things. You don't know. Even inside a family, you cannot judge a relationship between a sister and a brother who were extremely close for more than 30, 40 years and then fell apart. There are complicated reasons. But Madonna made peace with it and she accepted it and she forgave her brother, and maybe he forgave her for the things she needed to be forgiven. And they reconciled before he died, and she helped him looking for a cure for his cancer and getting all the treatments that he needed. I love the review that The Guardian released for Confessions II, and that's mainly because it was written by our friend and great journalist and biographer Lucy O'Brien. She is very intelligent and knows Madonna, and says the song is about fallibility and forgiveness with the sense of acceptance. I think that's what we bring home from this beautiful song. And speaking of death and fragility, I think this is the right time to take a moment to remember William Orbit, who unfortunately died a few days ago. Now, William is one of Madonna's most popular producers, especially because he made great music with her, but also because he talked a lot to the fans through social media, sometimes out of frustration and anger, sometimes with deep love. Especially recently, he answered someone's question with a beautiful comment of strong appreciation about Madonna's new album, Confessions, right before he died. But he was also hurt. He was extremely angry and couldn't accept the fact that Madonna wouldn't collaborate with him anymore. Now, from the outside, it would be easy to tell, hey, you were already called back. After Ray of Light and Music, she called him back 12 years later, and they worked on MDNA. So he already had his return with Madonna. And this instance has occurred very recently. We know that Madonna doesn't like repeating herself, and being called back after a few years has only happened to William Orbit, Patti Leonard, Mirwais, and very recently Stuart Price, who himself admitted that he hadn't heard from Madonna for 15 years before she called him for Celebration Tour. People move on. It's really complicated, but at the same time, a person with a deep introspective and deep personal side like William Orbit, because he was technically very sophisticated, but also very, very poetic. And we don't know him personally, but you can see that he had a very rich inner side. It probably was painful. He's like one of the great masterminds of all arts, a complex personality. I had a brief email exchange with him, but everybody can see that besides his huge talent, he had a complex personality, which is very recurrent with artists. And it's very sorry to think that he's gone so early. In April, he gave a small concert. Who knew if he knew that he was going to be his last one in London? The friends that went described it as very messy and at the same time delightful. I think that's a perfect description of William in all instances. And we hope that his family, when they will be ready, or his friends and collaborators, because he was always in the studio, we'll celebrate his music. He's done amazing music with Madonna, with Blur, with All Saints, with U2, with Pink, with many, many artists, and especially on his own records, the Strange Cargo series. There are so many beautiful songs that will linger with us forever. The remixes, the alternate takes, the experimentations, all the stuff that is published on his websites and Soundspace and other platforms. He was very, very generous. Some fans have been recently saying, let's hope that his tapes with Madonna, outtakes from the studio, will come out. I think there will always be something to discover. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge that he had been very, very generous with the fans, because all the leaks that happened through the years of the, I think, 9 songs unreleased from the music sessions, the alternate versions on the MDNA songs, the instrumentals from Ray of Light, the alternative versions, they were all leaks that he himself did. He's been so generous with us. And maybe Madonna wasn't really happy with that. And maybe she decided to stay silent when she could have done something to stop that. But William was happy to share with us, and we have been very blessed by all the beautiful things that he shared with us. Overall, my personal favorite is Like an Angel Passing Through My Room, and I really wish it had been added to Madonna's music album. So goodbye, William, and thank you for the music. Okay, that's it for today. Who knows which other surprises Madonna has in store for us? And we've only just begun to know the new songs, so don't stop listening to the new album. Over the last few weeks, my first theory reactions have naturally evolved, and new favorites are now emerging from Confessions II's track list. I bet it's the same for you as you listen more and more carefully. Read the lyrics or simply find yourself in a different mood, and the songs will reveal themselves to you. Leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. Till next time, let the music take control. Ciao.